Hello there. Valve is widely considered to be the best company in the PC space. It owns Steam, a super convenient way to buy PC games with regional pricing and a functional game library. Unlike Epic Games, whatever EA calls theirs now, and Ubisoft Connect. Valve and Lord Gaben are respected by the community, and it is hard to think of a controversial or incredibly bad decision Valve made. This makes it interesting to speculate what Valve will do this year. So, what will they do in 2023? I would like to note that everything I say in this video is purely speculative and just for fun. I have no insider knowledge, and I will probably be wrong, unless I am right. Okay, I'll admit that this isn't that risky of a prediction. At present, there is no reason for Valve to halt the development of the Steam Deck software and peripherals, as well as which games can run it. This is because the Steam Deck has been selling very well, including, to the surprise of Valve, the most expensive 512GB version of the Steam Deck. Valve recently released the first-party USB-C dock for the Steam Deck so that users can use an external monitor instead of the built-in screen, meaning that it hasn't been ages since the last Steam Deck related news, and also you no longer need to reserve a Steam Deck to order one. So what will Valve do with the Steam Deck? Worst case scenario, for interesting news, we will only see more games being verified or playable on the Steam Deck, which isn't that bad, but it's not that interesting. And otherwise, we may see Valve launch Steam Deck related cosmetics, whether that comes in skins put on top of the physical device, or exclusive keyboard and profile themes for your Steam account. Now that I'm saying that, I hope that Valve kept something secret. That is something to do with the Steam Deck, since I think that not many people will deem this exciting enough to warrant purchasing a Steam Deck for long-term support. The issue with hardware devices like game consoles and handhelds is that it is difficult to upgrade them, since all the games are made to run on that specific hardware, and rolling out a hardware update to the entirety of the user base is not feasible. This means that Valve needs to come up with a fantastic software feature for the Steam Deck, as well as other future handhelds that they may make, to stay relevant. Let's not forget that Valve's previous hardware ventures didn't turn out well. Look at the Steam controller, the Steam Link being okay, and the Valve Index not taking the VR world by storm. Lord Gaben can counter to pretty well, so who says that a Steam Deck 2 is not on the cards? This could happen this year, since we have just had a huge amount of hardware releases, with Intel, AMD and Nvidia launching their new generation of CPUs and GPUs at the end of last year. The question is, what will it be called? Steam Deck Pro, Steam Deck 2, or maybe the Steam Deck Plus? Since Valve is a large corporation, it is independent in terms of creating new hardware, because it doesn't need crowdfunding or investors to bring in money to financially support a new hardware venture. And mass producing these Steam Deck 2s may come at a slight discount if Valve partner with AMD or Nvidia, since, well, they can probably do that. They have a higher demand than other handhelds. However, 1 year between Steam Deck refreshes seems unlikely to happen. Valve will need to recoup the R&D costs of the Steam Deck, and making an entirely new device will not help that, since it will bring further costs. In addition, those who already own the Steam Deck may not want to buy the refresh that soon, reducing the potential market. If Valve made a second Steam Deck, it is also unclear what it would do differently than the original, since a performance increase between 2 consecutive generations is not that large. However, I need to clear some stuff up. I wrote the majority of this script in November, hoping for a release at the end of January, in line with my planned upload schedule this year for scripted videos like this one. However, in December, Valve started to talk about stuff I had already mentioned in this script. If this information was released before I wrote the script would be: Valve said that for the Steam Deck 2, they will prioritise better battery life and a better screen. This is understandable, considering that one of the major issues mentioned in Steam Deck reviews is that the battery life is low, and if you are on a long car journey or flight, you will quickly have to plug in the Steam Deck. This is a limitation that Valve have already made attempts to mitigate with software features, for example FPS caps and reducing brightness. I'm interested in how Valve will make further optimizations, since the Steam Deck had a large battery for a handheld at 5,313 mAh. For context, a high-end smartphone battery would typically top out at 5,000 mAh. Also, a lot of games aren't designed or optimized for a handheld device, and instead for a computer with unlimited power. Valve still makes games, right? Right. This is perhaps the most interesting thing that Valve might do in 2023. For those who don't know, a few months ago, Valve copyrighted the name Neon Prime to be used as a video game. So what is Neon Prime? Well, we don't know. Neon Prime sounds very sci-fi to me, so while it would be a potential game series for Valve, Neon Prime could be the name for a planet that has replaced Earth in a post-apocalyptic event, or rather than a planet, it is a spaceship that has a special classified mission which the player needs to help complete after a setback or life-threatening situation. We have no clue as to what this potential game could be, since it's a brand new IP, and aside from Half-Life Alyx, Valve hasn't released a full game since 2013 with the release of Dota 2. We know so little about Neon Prime, and some people online say that it could be a Dota spin-off. However, I don't think we'll learn more until around E3 in June 2023. Whenever we get any news though, I don't think that Neon Prime will release before 2024. Game development takes ages, and 2024 is optimistic. Portal 3, Half-Life 3, Team Fortress 3. Unfortunately, Valve making a third game in the series has never happened before, and if they were developing a game behind the scenes, it would take an unprecedented amount of secrecy that, if leaked out, the entire PC gaming community will blow up in excitement. It is a bad idea for Valve to make a third game in a series after so many years, because the new game will endlessly be compared to previous releases, which will be an issue if the game is remotely different to previous titles. But what if Valve were making a game, specifically a third game in the Portal franchise? Well, I have a video in the works where I will cover just that, so make sure you are subscribed and with notifications on to see that. Remember how I said earlier that Valve started talking about things? Well, the same thing happened with Valve making Portal 3. There were reports early in December that Valve has a base idea they are very happy with to produce Portal 3. This is nowhere near confirmation that it is being worked on seriously, and it is just an idea Valve has. Yet, that does make my future video on what Portal 3 could be about slightly more relevant, and I'll leave my ideas for that video. Mostly because I haven't come up with them yet, but we'll gloss over that. Also, Valve, please stop talking about things. I don't want to add a paragraph to a video that I finished scripting a month ago. Oh. For those who don't know, the Steam controller was one of Valve's relatively failed hardware projects, where they tried to make as many PC games viable to be played with a controller. One of the innovations was the touchpad, which allowed for finer movement similar to a mouse. This was intended to aid when playing FPS games and games where fine mouse control is necessary for use, such as Civilization and Cities Skylines. A lot of people found the touchpad's behaviour confusing. A conventional controller is already a pretty good jack of all trades, but terrible at PC FPS games. The Steam controller tried to fix the flaws of lack of precise movement with touchpads, and the audience for the Steam controller was small and the controller didn't sell very well. I don't know how the Steam Controller 2 will be any different from the first, aside from using USB-C. The use of touchpads necessitated the unconventional layout for the rest of the controller, and while it was not as intuitive for some, I don't think Valve will go through with a second iteration of the controller. Of course, I chose to speculate what one company, which is incredibly obscure outside of the PC gaming community, and the more time I spent on this video, the more I realised that Valve isn't going to do much this year, besides a couple of Steam Deck software updates. But hey, here's hoping that Neon Prime and maybe Portal 3 will be as good as we know Valve games to be. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you next time. Also, the footage I used for this video is taken from Valve. I'll leave links to the videos I was taken from in the description. And that's actually all this time. Goodbye. Valve recently released the first party USB